Napoleon, Caesar, Einstein, Pythagoras, Confucius. Just a few of the people who have turned the world on its head. There are hundreds of these people throughout history, people whose names are known to all, who, through no fault of their own, some fault of their own, or entirely through their own faults, managed to change the world for better or for worse. But there is one name who is never listed amongst the greats, a man so far ahead of his time that they had to create a special calendar just for him. A calendar where days can go on for months, and where a month can last 1,000 years. But who was he, this hidden historical Hercules, this amazing accident of antiquity? Over the course of this programme, we aim to discover, as we remember, the incredible life of Baron Ernst von Rumford. Baron Ernst von Rumford was born on the 15th of August, 1803, in a small suburb of Catford, the scion of an impoverished noble family, and the third son of his parents, Lord Oscar and Lady Isabel von Rumford, formerly of Munich. Oscar, a noted industrialist and sausage magnate, had been forced to leave his native Germany when a disastrous attempt to invest in a local autumn beer festival led to him losing his factories, his wealth, and nearly his life to his debtors, who, in a misguided attempt to claim their dues, had planted explosives beneath the factory headquarters, the local branch of Metternich's Bank, famous for being pioneers of the Pickelhaube, the spiked helmet used by the German military, originally intended as a way of collecting together invoices, and the family seat near Munich. Only 3 months after arriving in London, Lady Isabel announced her pregnancy, causing much consternation, especially given that she was at a funeral at the time. Although refined, being the daughter of a major Venetian businessman, Isabel was no wallflower, and continued her work for the fledgling running, jumping, and then running again movement, which would later become the International Olympic Committee. All through the 9 months of her pregnancy, Isabel remained an active athlete, causing much embarrassment among high society when she beat the Prince of Wales at polo, whilst simultaneously engaged in an antenatal class with the midwife.
Breathe in and breathe out again.
In and out.
I say, Countess, it's hardly fair that you should be distracted by this. Can't we adjourn until you've finished?
No need, Your Highness.
Oh, bloody hell.
As she came into the last 3 months of her pregnancy, persuaded by Oscar and her 2 eldest sons, Simon and Roger, Lady Isabel slowed down a little and no longer took an active role in games, preferring to stay on the sidelines, setting the scene for young Ernst's birth one Monday, whilst Isabel was refereeing the final of the Charterhouse Harrow Under-12s football and shooting contest, noted not only for Harrow's 15-2 victory in the football, but also for the unfortunate demise of a third of the old Harrovian team at the subsequent shooting contest, an incident which was described as just not cricket by one of the national papers at the time. Ernst's birth, on the halfway line of the pitch, alarmed many of those present, but Lady Isabel insisted on finishing the game before seeking medical attention, and so it was that Ernst was separated from his mother 20 minutes later upon the conclusion of the match. The young von Rumford grew up quickly, and by the age of 3 months had already shown his genius by presenting a paper on meteorology to the Royal Society at their annual convention. Accompanied and assisted by his nanny, Jane Harrison, a formidable woman who had gained some renown after fighting off an assault by highwaymen, armed only with a parasol and a copy of a pamphlet entitled Time for Tea, Golfing Violence in Polite Society, von Rumford addressed the society from his pram, his nanny's words on presentation still ringing in his ears.
Now you listen to me, young Ernst. Presentation is everything. Be firm, be masterful. Remember, lie with your legs astride, strike a heroic pose, and speak from the diaphragm. What? Yes, I know you're only in a pram, but the same principles apply. This paper is genius. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. They're all fools, those people out there. They don't want you to succeed, boy. But if you follow my advice, do all the things I'm telling you, fight the authorities to the last man, you may just succeed. Oh, and put on your best accent. Don't want them taking a dislike to you just because of where you come from, do we? But watch out. This paper is likely to make you very unpopular. Always watch your back.
Von Rumford's paper was astounding and caused much chatter in the hall, not only because of its content, but also because Harrison had turned the conference chamber into a cloud chamber, partially to prove the basic theorem of von Rumford's treatise, but also to ruin the other papers being presented, in a misguided attempt to secure that year's Midgley Medal for Destructive Science for her young ward. Harrison's actions succeeded in ruining the first incarnations of both the theories of relativity and evolution, but on the bright side did succeed in turning the proponents of said theories a rather fetching shade of purple, which was quickly appropriated by the eminent scientist Professor Dulux for his new range of paints. Von Rumford's paper alone remained safe, stowed as it was under the hood of his pram. Ernst's paper was revolutionary, and as soon as the guards had finished putting down the ensuing armed uprising, he was forced to flee, leaving an angry society with their president Viscount Derby to debate the contents of the young man's paper.
All right, settle down, everyone. I've called this special meeting of the Royal Society to examine the paper presented to us by this Ernst von Rumford, and to decide whether we accept its conclusions as valid and worthy of publication in the Gazette.
I think it's preposterous. How did a 3-month-old baby write that rubbish?
It's astonishing. Oh, for a couple of hours with the child to work out how he ticks.
Do babies tick?
I think so. Most people do. But that's beside the point. I'm no meteorologist, but I don't see how the paper can be accurate. And after what he did in the hall, I don't see why we should even consider offering him publication in the Gazette. He ruined my paper.
Did you not have another copy?
What? No, I don't have time to be copying it out. And since the dissolution of the monasteries, there's no monks left who'll do it for me.
Have you ever thought about using a printing press?
I don't trust with all that newfangled stuff.
Gutenberg's press was invented in 1450. You've had more than enough time to get used to the idea.
Well, if we're dealing in so-called facts, it's a well-known fact that all scientific papers are safe until they are published. Except in this case. That boy was like a force of nature. He came into our conference quite maliciously and without an invite, and not only ruined our papers, but presented one of his own.
As the only meteorologist in the room, besides Lord Derby, I feel that I must point out that the paper has a lot of merits. It seems to be well researched, it's cited well, and from my initial experiments, it appears that its conclusions are perfectly accurate.
Yes, I agree with the fundamentals of your arguments. From my experiments, I concur the paper appears to be correct in its consistency. Furthermore, I believe the boy may have opened up new avenues of research into cloud-based physics. However, I do not agree that it should be published. Indeed, I'm of the opinion that this boy is a danger to the meteorological field. In 3 months, he has done what most of us spend a lifetime attempting. I have spent 53 years attempting to work out why clouds look like sheep, and then all of a sudden this slip of a child comes along and solves it just like that.
Like what?
Like that.
You just clicked your fingers. I don't think that's how he solved it at all.
Well, look, it doesn't matter. I'm not having it. This boy must be removed.
Removed? How?
Easy. We stop him going to school.
No, the way they teach science these days, he'd be better off not going to school.
Could we give him some disease or something? Keep him out of our way that way?
Smallpox? Yellow fever? Something like that?
No, too contagious. Break his legs.
We're scientists. We couldn't pick up anything heavy enough to break his legs.
No, we need to get him out of the way permanently. Gentlemen, we need to kill Ernst von Rumford.
He's only 3 months old, my lord. We can't kill him.
Oh, a couple of minutes ago he was talking about breaking his legs, and now you object to my new plan. When is the acceptable age to kill someone, then?
Well, I should say it's okay to begin considering murder at about the age of 7.
We can't wait that long. In that time he might have discovered other things.
Yes, but he might have done that in any time. He's 3 months old and already made a major discovery. He could have made hundreds of them by that point.
Well, we need to get rid of him.
Yes, well, we know that. Righto, gentlemen, take up your swords. We shall not rest until Ernst von Rumford lies dead.
Following the debate, and with his prodigious intelligence increasingly evident in both his academic work and his many inventions, his parents made the decision to send him to the prestigious St. Brisket's School for Aspirant Butchers, outwardly to guide him into an honourable profession, but in actuality an attempt to embezzle plentiful meat supplies. Unfortunately, the combination of free meat and the chance to wield a cleaver proved too much, awakening his fiery Teutonic temperament, and 6 months after joining the school, Ernst was expelled for attempting to dissect his chemistry master in a particularly misguided science project. Although expelled, Ernst left with good marks in all his subjects, excluding chemistry, and a special commendation in biology for his innovative approach to anatomy.
Mr. and Mrs. von Rumford.
Baron.
How did you have a son, then?
What? Look, Headmaster, can you just tell us why you've called us here?
Well, I'm afraid there's been a bit of an incident.
What sort of incident, Headmaster? Has he been kicking the other boys in the shins? I've told him so many times, go straight for the balls.
I'm afraid not, Countess.
Has he been setting up distilleries in the cupboard?
No, look, I could just tell you.
Oh no, we von Rumfords have never taken the easy route.
Did he set up a tin mining operation in the canteen? Remember when he did that in the kitchen, darling?
Oh goodness, yes. Surprisingly profitable, really, given where we live.
Look, Your Lordship, I have to tell you that the Board of School has met. And I'm afraid we feel that we have no choice but to expel your son from St. Brisket's.
But why?
Well, as you know, St. Brisket's has a strong tradition of encouraging innovative thinking and scientific development. Now, we are strongly in favour of this. We feel certain experiments go beyond what is acceptable in school environments. Your son has performed many of these little experiments under supervision here, but I'm afraid his latest one was just a little too far.
What did he do, Headmaster?
He dissected Mr. Smith, the chemistry master.
Ah. What's the problem? Was it not supervised?
Well, yes, he was supervised by Mr. Cooper, the biology master. But this sort of besides the point. The board feels that the dissection of masters is not conducive to the good learning environment within the school. In this case, particularly in the chemistry department.
Do you really have to expel him?
Well, yes. Quite beside the dissection point, there are a number of other issues here. Last time on the cross-country run, the runners came under attack. The attackers seemed to be armed with a variety of test tubes and thermometers. Furthermore, they were screaming something about killing your son. But there were several deaths. We really can't turn a blind eye to it.
Really, goodness, why did you not mention this before, Headmaster?
Well, to be honest, our boys being attacked is not an unusual occurrence. We like to think of it as character building.
Character building? I wonder.
What is it, dear?
Come on, dear. We're leaving. I have an idea.
Goodbye, Baron, Countess. I'm terribly sorry about all this.
Headmaster, the Drama Society wonder if they can have Mr. Smith's skull for the next term's production of Hamlet.
Unable to return to St. Brisket's, with a major mark against his record which meant that none of the other public schools would touch him, not even the less reputable ones such as Aunt Letitia's School for Young Rabbit Botherers or Eton, Oscar realised that there was only one solution to the continuation of Ernst's schooling. And so it was that at the age of 7 years, Ernst was sent by his parents to live with his uncle, the Graf von Schnicker, in his castle in the Bavarian Alps. The Graf, an old soldier who had served in the army during the War of the Bavarian Succession, or who gets to wear the shiny hat, as he insisted on calling it, was famous for his disciplinarian techniques, habit of goosing the serving maids, and calling everyone else who wasn't him a sissy girl. What others saw as the Graf's eccentricities, Ernst saw as good fun, even when he found him sitting in a barrel of molten camembert atop a large pine tree with 2 prostitutes and a chalkboard. Ernst's predilection for the odd meant that it was the work of but a few months for the young von Rumford to get used to the Graf's strange patterns, and he was soon joining him in taking breakfast on the top of the Zugspitzer Massif, coincidentally also the name of the boys' club that the Graf ran on Wednesday lunchtimes in the local beer hall. Right, boys, as you will no doubt be aware, following last week's failed invasion of Luxembourg, we are little down on numbers. Note to self, must send condolence letters and medals to their parents. So we must do another recruitment drive. Now, I've brought one in. This is my nephew, Ernst. Say hello, Ernst.
Hello.
All right, that's enough of that. Where's your set of reserve? We're not Italians, you know.
But you told me to,
Oh, don't listen to anything I say unless it's an order. Then you must listen. Now, boys, we need to recruit more soldiers. How many more children are there in the village?
None, sir.
None. Where are they all?
Well, they're all here.
What? What about Jäger Miner, Keiter, Eric?
All dead, sir.
Even Eric?
No, sir. Eric is your tortoise, sir.
Well, then why isn't he here?
Well, he's a bit slow. He's probably still on the way back from Luxembourg.
Pah.
The others, they're all dead, you say?
Yes, sir.
Well, how did they die?
Jaeger Minor died in the Battle of the Baker's Shelf.
Aha, an unadulterated triumph. 4 dozen cakes we came away with.
I'm not sure his parents would agree with the unadulterated triumph assessment, sir. They sued you, remember? And your defence that cakes were more useful than children anyway was at best ill-judged, and at worst downright insensitive.
Well, if it was that bad, why did they let me keep hold of the reins of the club?
Because you ordered us to beat up the judge?
Oh, yes, so I did. What about Kiter? He didn't die in battle.
No, sir, no, he didn't. He died when he decided the best training for our expedition to the Arctic was to swim in the river.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. They're character building. So what if it was a bit cold?
Wasn't the cold that killed him, it was the fact that he threw us off the bridge at the top of a waterfall whilst we were carrying 40-pound backpacks. Only 3 of us made it out alive of the original 15.
Always a damn excuse. So, no more children in the village, you say?
No, none at all.
All right. Looks like we're going to have to broaden our horizons. We need at least 16 boys for the next little expedition.
Well, actually, sir, we were kind of wondering if...
Spit it out, boy. What's up? Fancy taking on the entire French army, armed only with a pretzel and a bucket of water? Yeah, I like your spirit.
Actually, we were going to ask if we could, go camping, climb trees, do the stuff that the other boys' clubs do. None of the dangerous things, no more invasions, no more genocide, no more colonial conquests, no more attempts to install puppet regimes in minor African nations. Although the pretzel thing does sound fun, and indubitably more than achievable.
But do you not enjoy my little activities, the little trips I plan?
Well, yeah, I suppose. Switzerland was lovely. So was Venice, but...
Yes.
Well, we'd just like to, visit these places, not invade them.
But what would you do when you got there?
Look around, experience the culture, visit the monuments, that sort of thing.
But I don't...
There he is, get him, boys.
Oh, what is the meaning of this interruption? Who are you?
I believe I can answer that one, Uncle. He is Viscount Derby, President of the Royal Society. Nanny warned me that you'd be back.
Yes, I'm the Viscount Derby. I'm the President of the Royal Society, a fact which is quite inexplicable, given the fact that I've been chasing you for 7 years and I'm directly responsible for the deaths of several young children. But of this idle chitter-chatter. Now, boy, perhaps you'd like this. Cabbage! Oh.
What?
Yes, this big, green, leafy cabbage.
I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
From birth, you have been stricken with an absolutely crippling fear of cabbages. Of all brassicas, in fact.
No, I have not. I'm really not sure why you found that out.
Damn it, Hudson, you told me he was.
Sorry, but did you really lug that giant cabbage all the way from London to Germany based on the testimony of a man who has never, to my knowledge, met me?
Yes, we did.
Oh, my, it is a whopper, isn't it?
Do you not think that was a bit stupid? Like, probably one of the thickest things that's ever been done, ever. Really idiotic.
Shut up, just shut up.
I mean, I'm 7. A well-developed 7, admittedly, but still. And I think that's just hilariously, earth-shatteringly dumb.
Yes, well, you're a big gayer.
Really? I point out your stupidity and that's the best you come out with? You're really not helping yourself, are you?
Your mum's not helping herself.
Have you met my mother?
Only when I was... No, I haven't.
I didn't think so. She's always helping herself. Usually to seconds or thirds. Something about a higher calorific intake because of the athletics.
Well, perhaps she's just fat.
Fat? Amount of activity she does. She's done more activity when asleep than your brain's done in your entire life.
What did you just say, you wimpy little pipsqueak?
Oh, sorry, I implied that you were rather thick.
Yes, I thought so. Come here, you little rat.
Ha! Is that the best you've got, you huge vat of cockroach spittle?
What did you call me?
Ha! That's not the worst, you fetid drip of rancid camel sputum. Tell me, how proud is Lady Derby of you chasing me for 7 years? I hear she's taken to drink. Spends most of her time wobbling around the city.
One of her legs is shorter than the other. It's a recognised medical condition. By God, sir, I will have satisfaction or I will have death.
Only happy to oblige. Now, uncle, now!
What, Ernst?
Spring the trap.
What trap?
Oh, for goodness sakes, what sort of continental are you? To arms, boys! Keep the others off my back. I'll deal with Derby myself.
I shall have your head for that insult, boy.
Not if I have yours first.
Not damn likely. I was the finest duellist in all my class at Harrow.
Ha! How big was the class?
Shut up! 2 was a big class in Harrow in those days.
Ha! 2. I bet he was a cripple as well.
Actually, he wasn't, so there. He had an advantage too. He had a white stick, so he could get in twice as many hits as I could. But I still beat him.
Exactly. Let's see if you could beat someone who's fully sighted.
What?
Let's see if you can beat someone who's fully sighted.
You mean that blind Harry wasn't fully sighted?
Well, yes.
Oh, well, a bit of a mistake there. But it shall have no effect, von Rumford. I shall beat you. You forget. I am a fully grown man, and you are a 7-year-old boy.
You're forgetting one thing, my dear Viscount.
And what might that be?
I have German blood, and I won't play fair. Here, take that.
Oh, tits.
Tits, indeed. As the Viscount fell through the window, landing in a vat of half-crushed hops, creating a vintage which would be referred to in future generations as Derby's downfall, and would receive fantastic reviews from both camera and the Berlin Beer Times, Ernst pushed forward, pressing his sword to his opponent's neck. The Viscount, soggy, drunk, and after 7 years of pursuing a small and unthreatening child from Britain to Bavaria, was now thoroughly destroyed by his own madness, and made only token resistance, namely, throwing a damp rag at them, as the boys of the Zugspitzer Massiv tied him up and led him away to a trial that would win several major awards for its astonishing corruption. But Ernst's thrill at his triumph was short-lived.
Ernst? Your uncle?
What? Where is he? What happened?
Over here. He took a flask to the face. He's in a bad way.
A flask? It doesn't seem that dangerous. I'm sure the old warhorse will make it through.
No. It was full of acid.
Acid?
Yes. It doesn't look good.
Well, it wouldn't.
Here he is.
Ernst, my boy, is that you?
Yes, Uncle, it's me. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm fine. A little cold. My face is a bit sore.
But you'll be all right, won't you? You've survived worse than this. That time you were chased out of Prague with an axe in your shoulder? When you had to escape from prison in Worms after eating a bad quiche?
Not this time. I'm old, Ernst. Very, very old. Possibly the oldest person in the club.
You're in the club?
No. But Ernst, my boy, I have one last lesson to impart. When the time comes, look to the place where you least expect to find help.
And I'll find it?
Of course you won't. You never do. If you want help, always ask for it. I didn't, and I've regretted it ever since. Send my regards to your father. Tell him the old bastard went down fighting.
I will do. Oh, Uncle, is there anything else?
Tell him he's a big sissy girl.
Come on, old boy, chin up. Don't let them see you cry. Boys of the Zugspitz Massiv, we have won a great victory here today, but at a great cost.
So it was that at the tender age of 7 years, Ernst had survived the first attempt on his life and won the first victory of the same. The death of the Graf von Schnicker affected Ernst deeply, and it was with a heavy heart that the boy carried the Graf's body back to the castle, where it would lie in state for several months before it was finally discovered in a state of advanced decay and buried in a necessitously short ceremony in the local church. Immediately following the funeral, Ernst returned to London, to the bosom of his family, where, accompanied by his father, he set about the erection of a memorial to his uncle. With his education fallen by the wayside, Ernst began reading prodigiously, determined to finish educating himself in the ways of the world, as the Graf had always wanted him to do.